Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace was written and directed by George Lucas, and this movie is turning 25 years old this year. Wow, that makes me feel old. And yes, I'm going to be talking about Star Wars movies in the coming weeks. These are not necessarily reviews, it's just me talking about how I feel about each installment, memories associated with these movies, and just random things that pop into my head. By the way, I'm not going to be talking about spin-offs like Rogue One or Solo. I'm also not going to touch on any of the TV series or cartoon series because I haven't seen most of them. Like many kids who were born in the early 90s, I grew up loving the prequel trilogy. I have vivid memories of seeing Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and even though I was only 5 years old when The Phantom Menace came out, apparently my parents did take me to see this movie. But as I got older and started learning more about filmmaking and storytelling, my thoughts on the prequels have changed quite a bit, especially on The Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace has been my least favorite Star Wars movie for quite some time, and I rewatched it for the first time in, I want to say 6, maybe 7 years the other day, and every time I rewatch this movie, I like this movie less and less. Now, I'm sure you've heard these complaints before, but the whole trade dispute makes no sense. The film spends so much of its runtime on this needless politics and this taxation issue. The Gungans aren't interesting, Jar Jar is pretty annoying, but that's not anything new. People have complained about this for the last 25 years, but the thing I find most disappointing about The Phantom Menace is that we don't get to know much about Anakin. And this is supposed to be the beginning of a whole new trilogy that explains how this little kid, this sweet little kid, became Space Hitler. And what do we learn about this kid from this movie? Well, he is special. That's what the midichlorians say. And he's a slave. His mom is also a slave. He likes building things. He's good with his hands. He's a pretty decent pilot for a 9-year-old. That's really it. I feel like the whole trilogy would have benefited more had it been told through Anakin's perspective. Anakin should be the protagonist of the prequel trilogy. Let's start the film with Padme escaping from the Trade Federation with the help of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, as you see in the movie. And they land on Tatooine to get some supplies. They wonder about the planet for like a week or two. And from that point on, it should be Anakin's story. It should be about his relationship with his mom, him being a slave to that little flying elephant. Sure, throw in some pod race because it's fun, and eventually Qui-Gon finds Anakin and recruit him to become a Jedi, but the film should absolutely center on the life of this little kid, on who he is, what he's like, and build a foundation on what's to come. Now, on the more lighthearted and less serious side of criticism, Qui-Gon is a shitty person. Like, for one, he bets everything he has on this little kid that he just met 3 minutes ago, and he uses somebody else's ship as a hedge. He also destroys this family's life. Like, I never understood why Anakin's mom is so cool about this random old guy taking away her only son. And finally, as soon as Qui-Gon meets Anakin, aka his new boy toy, he disregards Obi-Wan entirely. Obi-Wan is the wisest person in this movie. Obi-Wan is much wiser than his own master. He keeps saying all the right things. He keeps telling Qui-Gon, look, bringing Anakin to Coruscant and training him to become a Jedi is a really bad idea. Qui-Gon never listens. And as this creepy old guy dies in Obi-Wan's arms, his last words are not about how proud he is of his apprentice. His last words are about this fucking kid.
Promise me you will train the boy. He is the chosen one.
Now, there's been some weird movement going on in the fandom, and some of the fans are starting to reassess The Phantom Menace. They are saying maybe they were being too harsh on it when it first came out. Maybe this is not as bad as they thought it was. I wish I was one of those people, because when I see The Phantom Menace, I see a lot of ideas. Really good ideas. Really interesting ideas. But they all happen to exist in this giant mess of a movie. So, yeah, that's how I feel about The Phantom Menace. If this is your favorite Star Wars movie, and I do actually know a couple of people who feel that way, sorry, I guess. And stay tuned for the next video, which is on Attack of the Clones. I'm actually pretty excited to talk about that movie, so that should be fun. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.